And let's have a closer look at those front pages, starting with the Telegraph. What have they got, Lewis?
Well, the big story of the day and the week and probably the year is Israel sends in forces as it warns of powerful offensive. And Israel has asked the entire residents of the Gaza Strip, which is like 1.2 or 1.3.
Well, the northern part of the Gaza Strip.
The northern part of the Gaza Strip, which is where most of the people, I think, live. And they're telling them they have to vacate that area, and because they're going to send in Israeli troops to get back over 100 kidnapped people.
So they've been bombing and shelling Gaza from the air and sending in teams to try and extract people who've been kidnapped. But now they're actually going to send in the ground forces en masse to go door to door, street to street, and root out Hamas militants.
I assume that's what they're going to do. I mean, the size of the Gaza Strip is, I think it was the size of 2 Washington, D.C.s. It's not a huge place.
How big's Washington, D.C.? That's not a great reference for UK viewers. We need a Sunderland.
It's about 7 England.
It's small. It's basically like cities, and they're going to have to go door to door. I mean, it's an horrific thing. It's been explained to me that this is not the end of the world. I'm a New York Jew, and to me, I've just had premonitions of doom. Just the worst thing is going to happen, and it might be, and it might not be as bad. Josh Howie has explained it to me. It might not be as bad as. I'm hoping it's not as bad.
Right. I mean, Nick, do you have a less pessimistic view of this? And by the way, it's 140 square miles, although that could be an estate agent who told me that.
Yeah. Well, no. In terms of the escalation, the question is, was it done to provoke a reaction from Israel and then provoke a counter-reaction from Hezbollah or whatever? I mean, I don't know. I still don't know what the motivation was, other than just Hamas being Hamas, and that's what they do.
Well, I think Israel was there was a détente between Israel and Gulf states, the United Arab Emirates, and also Saudi Arabia. We're in talks with relations are really improving between
thanks to Trump.
Places. Well, you can't just say anything good that happens.
No. Jordan Peterson today on X gave Trump credit for that and said we should. Biden's gone against it just because it was Trump. Did you not see that?
But I mean, Hamas really wanted to. I think Hamas felt that they'd been ignored, and Iran wanted to scupper any sort of peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
and Iran are obviously behind Hamas.
But now they've got to evacuate more than 1 million people from North Gaza in 24 hours, which the White House is calling a tall order, especially if it goes anything like Biden's Afghanistan evacuation, which was horrendous.
Well, yeah, the roads have been bombed. I mean, there's rubble strewn everywhere. And also, Hamas are ordering people to stay in their houses. They don't want people to leave. They want civilians there so they can have corpses to parade in front of the cameras saying, look what Israel did. And I mean, and do you think, Lewis, there's a danger that Israel is now going to go in and civilians are going to die, and perhaps public opinion around the world could start turning once they see, scores of dead Palestinian civilians? Well,
that was my fear. My fear was, I mean, as a New Yorker, as a person who was born in 1957, which was just 12 years after the end of the Holocaust, my attitude is don't make trouble. Is like, don't. And the Israelis are not. They're not like me. Yeah. They're like go in and pound them, and maybe it needs to be pounded. I mean, it's similar. I tell you what happened. It's a very similar thing to what happened at 9/11. When 9/11 happened, I thought to myself that because New York was such a pariah city in America, I know people can't imagine that being the case, but New York City isn't like America in the minds of. And when it happened, I thought to myself, no one's going to care about this, but people did care because it hit a nerve for all Americans and people around the world. It's just a horrible, barbaric act, and it's like what happened in Israel was such a horrible, barbaric act that it's justified. What this warrants is Liam Neeson in those movies, in whatever the movie. What was the movie?
Taken.
It's like he's going to come, and I think that's what most good people are thinking.
I don't think any good people have thought that so far. Lewis. And
Yeah.
also, Liam Neeson is getting on a bit now. I think it's quite a lot to put in a 78-year-old man's shoulders.
I think he means the "I will find you and I will kill you" very specific set of skills.
Yeah.
But coming back to the UK, I mean, police are bracing for Palestinian protests as well. It says in the Daily Telegraph. I mean, this is something we're sort of braced for things to happen in the UK on the apparent global day of jihad. That hasn't really manifested in the UK. But do you think things can kick off tomorrow?
Well, look, it could kick off any time, couldn't it? I mean, I forgot we were doing this story, but this is a big problem. This is the thing, Lou. I'm sure you agree with me, but a lot of people are pointing out now. Lots of people were very liberal on mass immigration. They were very for multiculturalism. They didn't worry about the lack of assimilation. But now we have to say, this is a huge problem we can't ignore anymore.
Yeah,
and
this is what multiculturalism means. You get cultures who despise other cultures, who have deeply different ideas about how things should be done, and have deeply held medieval internecine grudges that they've brought with them. There's no magic soil in the UK. People don't suddenly become Western Liberal Democrats as soon as they step onto UK soil.
And especially because we've lost confidence in our values. And we have this paradox where we have to defend liberal democratic values, which is, because we're more liberal, we're not just like Saudi Arabia where we just say it's our way. Yeah. It's hard to defend such a thing. That's a sort of paradox. But we have to get tougher about defending our values, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm not optimistic. I'm more optimistic, but I'm definitely pessimistic because I think. So I'm hoping. I think this could be a mark in the sand. Not a mark in the sand. This could be the start of something where people are beginning to realize that there are tremendous forces against not just the Jews living in Israel, but this is an attack on all Western people.
Civilization.
And civilization, yes. And including people of their own kind, including regular Palestinians and regular Muslims. It's like saying, we don't care about the rule of law. We don't care about anything.
Yeah. And now people are suggesting the army at Jewish primary schools, and that's how sick it is. But what are we going to do? We've let it get to this point.
Yeah. And the solution is going to be quite unpalatable for a lot of people.